is ruled by selfish and power-addicted evil men, and when I actually presented this argument to some group, I was bombarded with a connotation of misogynist, and I'm damn sure they didn't even know how to spell the word. But sadly, they had the misconception about what I said because of the brainwashing they had into thinking men versus women. What happened was, before I could realize, I was in a war zone with hundreds of arrows coming at me, with preconditioned namings of me being misogynist, delusional, and toxic, which I had to avoid and at the same time destroy. It was like a great debate that stirred up this whole argument or war where I was literally all alone. Literally one versus the feminist, and also there was an imposter among us who ended up being completely different than who she told herself to be. And to this day, this shocks me. So the debate was about masculinity stuff, and you know what would happen. This gradually became a war, and to protect my dignity and respect, I presented a very valid argument. I said, the world is ruled by evil men. And then everyone got triggered. Everyone. So I started sending justification arguments and valid points like, girls, I did say it evil, because how hungry they are for the power and all, but all of them had just fixated their stupid minds to the word ruled by men. Because they had the general rhetoric in their mind that the society was dominated by men, and then they fought, and modernization has led to feminism, which is a very ignorant structure because they can't explain anything after feminism. And even if they're asked, they would stutter. If like someone honestly asked them how this made up society in your mind right now works, they would say, yeah, government rules our countries and all. That means actually like someone runs it. They just want it to be women this time. The problem is all of these fake feminists have a false belief system in their minds which is based upon man versus women. And as much as you try to teach them, no, girl, it's not like that, it's men and women. And the working model you're presenting is actually a decent part of the problem because every government thinks of just two things: their own country, state affairs, and their vote bank. Every action is based upon only securing these two topics. And for that, they would even go on war. And as a result, millions of humans are killed from both sides. And even if I debated that every government is controlled by someone and the world is ruled by evil men who just want to fulfill their own selfish desires and they just do not give a damn about you all feminists, they all kept repeating the same allegation, misogynist to me. Even if I told them that, oh beautiful creatures, the men at power will never let their power be taken, they would sacrifice, and they had sacrificed millions of men around the world, and women around the world, because that's just how our male-oriented polygamous society has always been, and it works like that. They do not care about women being given any equality, and you all have been brainwashed to think that women have been given the charge of the world, when most probably it's the evil men who never did let go of their powers and are manipulating us all, men and women, because of their obsessive nature and their power obsessive minds. But they still never did believe me. Never. No amount of supportive arguments or valid points were sufficient in itself to actually let them understand what I was talking about. You know why? Because they had fixated all of their brain cells into the line ruled by men. And this deeply shakes me of how much rooted this problem is inside our more ladies. Perhaps they have been manipulated by the endless scrolling on Instagram or reading comments. You never know. And this is not to say I'm correct or not, because then I got you. You're not thinking Aryan versus feminist, right? But in reality, it's Aryan and feminist. Men and women, Aryan and feminists. A few people say I'm stuck in the 20th century, and a few people say this guy is crying. Most people accuse me of being a misogynist. Anyways, they kept messaging me with endless accusations, and you know what? What's up with this one man war? everyone on the other side just trying to speak and accuse. Everyone wants everyone wants attention and validation from other you go girl type girls. Everyone messaging at the same time, and not to mention a few, actually very few, were real feminine girls, and they had valid points and they wanted to hear my arguments. And many actually personally DM'd me of how, saying how I'm actually correct in some way, and few of them peacefully debated with me too. But most were the crowd of delusional self-love ladies. A girl who actually personally DM'd me, one of those, said that these are girls who have had some trauma in their lives and joined this community to feel included and for self-improvement. And that pretty much explained a lot of different things. I actually recorded my audio and sent my voice note explaining this philosophy, but I later realized they didn't have the attention span to even hear it completely. So that's how the whole philosophy of how evil men rule the world got buried under the sands of time. But I'm going to disclose it to you. I'm going to disclose a secret because this is absolutely essential for all my brothers and girls out here to know what I knew at the time, for the simple reason that this is the truth. For example, there is a planet and only 100 people live over there. A very happy and content planet. Just imagine 100 people live over there, right? Just imagine. So the people live like a tribe, and they live together like a family. Everyone talks to each other, everyone enjoys the daily morning sunshine, they grow their own foods, they cook, they eat it, and every other night they get together and celebrate a festival, celebrating their life. The festival is full of colors, hopes, and love. They lit up the entire tribe. And what's missing? Music. There are three singers in this tribe, and they love their craft, absolutely. But generally, they sing beautiful folk music because it's a tribe, and they're very close to their religion. They're very close to their tribe and their own traditions, and so folk music is like everyone's first preference, and they hear it. Everyone enjoys this type. Humans are inherently very aware of a change, and to support the change, they have general successions in their mind to validate it. Like for example, you grow in your life, and with time, your taste changes. Like your hobby changes or your music taste changes. And unless the change is very integral, like with you personally, if you're asked to change your room and swap it with your sibling, will you? Of course not. But will you change it if the room is better than yours, like bigger and better? Of course you would. Because secondly, humans want progression. Humans want growth. That's why we work and then treat ourselves externally with food and relaxment, and internally by dopamine. Even our civilization is like a tribe. Everyone just wanna improve in their lives. And thus in this planet, music taste changes. And one of the singer experiments a different type, a different style. And let's just say he comes up with pop music. Because it's different and unique, people wanna give it a shot. The singer wears new dresses and the tone looks unique. People think that this is improvement, and hence now no one hardly hears the other two singers. Everyone just want to hear pop music. And yeah, thirdly to this human biology, crowd mindset. Because everyone want to hear pop music now, it's trendy, and more people go into hearing and seeing the declining viewers and interest. The two singers start with pop music as well. This is known as feedback loop, at least by me. Past rulers didn't really know about this, and they mostly started to realize about just the judgment control by controlling the flow of information, which I discussed in my previous episode. But sometimes some rulers realized this. Like maybe the king of the 100 people tribe was tired of the folk music promoting religion and challenging its powers, so encouraged that one singer to try on some new, comparatively degenerate music form. We never know. But I know this was induced feedback loop. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. And it becomes even more dangerous when even the king doesn't know what and why he's doing it for. More like a multi-level manipulation scheme where we don't even know who's doing what. For example, the British involvement in opium exportation in China during the Qing dynasty, where opium ended up being consumed by the elites, and then inequality, this and that, you know the rest. But let's just say this loop where King didn't even knew why he did that as the great feedback loop. So we have feedback loop where changes happen and generally it's induced. So induced feedback loop. And when the inducer, king or some noble person didn't even knew why he or she did that, then it's called the great feedback loop. And unfortunately, the human race works on the great feedback loop. Now, absolutely, in past, men were the rulers of the kingdom and mostly educated people, noble people of influence and leaders were men only. This was a disparity among all and absolutely bad as no equality, right? But all of you have to understand the masculine nature. Men are adventurous and territorial in all species and animals. Men want control for various reasons, and this is absolutely inherited and essential for the protection of the tribe because someone has to take the charge, right? Someone has to take the responsibility of protecting the tribe at the cost of his life. And in return, the leadership is what he wins. This whole system, this might seem simple, yet this has always been the case. And in most animal, this goes like that. Now, the kind of feedback loop I discussed is a normal civilization growth loop, which induces changes and advances a society from, say, stone weapons to artillery. But what if it's actually making our human race a complete failure? If something is induced for the good, it's fine. The overall graph is positive and we all improve. But what if the puppet masters are inducing bad habits, which is making the graph negative? The 100 people example was a very simple illustration to this enormous system which evil men are now using. Arguably the basis of our entire existential philosophy. I mean, don't take this lightly. This is literally nothing you will ever heard about. So these feedback loops occur at your house. Low marks induces your parents to scold you, and then you start studying better, and then better marks. And these feedback loops occur at a massive level as well. Women being oppressed, so some families start with men versus women initiative. But then, who is ruling the world? After all of this voice note information I had sent to the girl, they didn't even flinch. No reaction, and the similar misogynist, he's crying, he's delusional. What are you even saying? Let's ignore him, babes, kind of replies. And I know this all seems like the mathematics of philosophy, but it's very important to understand. This is literally the base of everything. Men generally were naturally selected to rule the families, tribes, and kingdoms. And it's not men versus women, but men represent protection from everything, and it's our inherent instinct, protect. And this leadership gave us power. And you know what power does? It deludes you. It makes you its slave, and history has proven this again and again. The lust for power is the worst of the enemies, and that's the cutting sword for us. We want to improve so we can make a good role in our tribe. And we just don't get kicked out of the tribe and can get the share of the resources and access to other women. And this is directly proportional to power. More and more power, more money, more influence, more power. That's the whole biology why men generally are inclined towards improvement in that space. This is the origin of the great feedback loop, which by itself forces the evil men to torture us for their own greed and power. This is where things get going wrong. And what do you think the puppet masters would so easily give up their power and influence to improve our life, men and women's life? No. In history, they used information control to shape people's opinion, but a revolution still happened and removed them from their thrones because People can make opinions by anything. Then they say it, fuck it, we're gonna control him and entirely. Induced feedback loop comes up with encouraging alcoholic consumption so the economy increases, and by proxy, people become less coherent in choosing rulers. Yeah, does he allow alcohol? Okay, selective. Bullshit. Why do you think they push up the initiative of Yugo girls? To an extent, it's great, but putting up the mindset that feminism is women being degen and youth is in the club, music which is now degenerate, all of this crap. Why does music contain slurs and very degenerate lyrics? Because a little change happened which made people slowly go into this new direction, and then boom, average is just degenerate nonsense music. And also, humans are humans because of origin. Okay, I'm born in this nation, I represent this place. I'm born to my parents and they are everything for me. We generally know our origins. And as they have been doing this for years now, many people are just born in this degen environment. Like, everybody smokes and trying to be cool, everybody sending Snapchat streaks, and then the school system completes the indoctrination. And someone is milking all of these habits for their own pleasure. Maybe some companies for profits or ruling government. But in the end, we as humans, we are dying because of their instant desire for power. More power. This is what I was trying to explain to those girls, that it's not them, it was the evil men at the top who are milking everybody now. No one can touch them now because they have made everyone dumb. Everyone is like, yeah, this fight for rights, yeah, this rally, argue about men versus women, and playing bullshit modern music all the time. But the women didn't even want to understand, and I can't even blame them. Maybe this is such a complex topic that they just gave up, like it's hard topic in school, and just picked up the ruled by men to try to bring me down. Puppet masters even targeted masculinity and has named it toxic masculinity because in the end, strong men are the biggest threat to them. Again, I'm not saying men versus women, but stronger men equals more feminine and stronger women. So they just target everybody by this equation with fake spreading, working out and being fit as toxic. Or just any form of being a man is toxic. Which is nonsense. And maybe some might be toxic, like domestic violence, etc. But instead of naming it as it is, shouldn't we just eradicate the roots? Shouldn't we spread the idea of men being emotionally strong and mature as they should be? Instead of naming it just all toxic masculinity, which young men shouldn't do, why wouldn't we explain ourselves the reason for that? Can't speak about history, but there would have been a point where the rulers finally understood about all of this loop and all. Maybe they haven't, and it's just the lust of power that's just making them to do it. We never know. But power is such a different thing, right? Power is such a philosophical topic, such a philosophical subject. Of course, like all of these puppet masters have infinite money. I don't even want to point at any company or government or organization as a puppet master right now, but most probably they have been doing this for a while, and presently they have messed up the world really bad. But we have to do it. We have to do something. That's introspection. Let's call this reverse indoctrination, reverse manipulation. We all need to be aware of all of these things and take a back foot and think who is actually controlling us all. Introspect logically and emotionally decode this world. That's how changes are made. Maybe the girls, they would realize at some point that what I was trying to say was maybe correct. They should have, listened to me for some time. But they just have been scrolling Instagram for so long. And yeah, it's good to sympathize with what happened wrong, but they should have introspected the real solutions instead of believing man versus woman. And at the end, the puppet masters are laughing of how we are just fighting with each other instead of becoming men and women.